Mic check, 3, 2, 1. Hello, hello. Guys, videos. Please excuse me, I'm traveling.
भाई वीडियोस थोड़ा लेटर ऑन होगा, अभी मैं नहीं कर सकती हूँ।
Dominic Savio SJ, Reverend Father Dr. Joseph Kulendai SJ, Vice Principal, Department of Commerce Morning, Reverend Father Dr. Peter Arokiam SJ, Vice Principal, Department of Management Studies and Commerce Evening, the principals and vice principals of other departments, professors in charge of the Marketing Society, and all our esteemed dignitaries and mentors whose constant support has made this possible. As we arrive at the closing ceremony of Momentum 2026, it is incredible to reflect on the journey that we have all experienced together. What started as an idea has now unfolded into 10 days of intense competition, creativity, strategy, and learning. Every round pushed boundaries, every challenge sparked innovation, and every participant here has contributed to making this event truly unforgettable. Momentum was never just about winning, it was about growth. It was about stepping out of comfort zones, thinking like marketeers, solving real world problems, and most importantly, discovering what you're capable of under pressure. Over these past few days, we have witnessed brilliant ideas, bold strategies, and an inspiring display of passion from each and every one of you. Before we move ahead to the results, we have the privilege of hearing from someone who truly embodies the spirit of modern marketing, where creativity meets psychology and strategy meets impact. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest for today, Mr. Harinder Singh Pelia, an author of two national bestseller books. Sir has redefined how we perceive branding and self identity in today's world. With an impressive professional journey, he has led marketing teams at companies like Amazon, Agio, Lux, and Diesel, shaping powerful narratives for some of the biggest brands. A LinkedIn top voice, a TEDx speaker, and currently a PhD scholar at XLRI Jamshedpur, he is also the founder of the 10XR Club and Talent Lives, communities that are transforming how India's marketing and e commerce professionals learn, connect, and grow. We are truly honored to have you with us today, sir. I'm sure your insights will leave us with perspectives that go far beyond textbooks. So, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for everybody being here. And for those who are here for attendance, really sorry about that. But for those who actually want to hear me speak, thank you so much for being here. So there are a few things that I can talk about. Like Saharsh mentioned, that I've had a career as a marketer. I've now have a career as a founder and author. So we can talk about a little bit of marketing, or we can talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is personal branding, but not personal branding in terms of people trying to sell you like a 499 rupee course or some shit like that. Uh, and also, if somebody wants to start writing professionally or kind of become published and everything, we can take all of that in question. So let's do this. What I understand is I have about 1 hour with you guys. Am I right, Saharsh? Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is, fortunately for me and unfortunately for you, I have a deck, and in that we'll cover a little bit of personal branding that I'm very passionate about, and we'll do about half an hour of questions. That should be good. So, like I said, we can cover questions from psychology, marketing careers. We can talk about personal branding itself. We can talk about becoming a founder after you've had a corporate career for a certain amount of time, or we can even talk about becoming an author if that's something that interests you. Okay, good deal. Okay, so in the half an hour presentation that I'm going to give you, which is going to be a little bit of more relevant once you get into the workforce, not in terms of becoming a influencer wala personal branding, but more in terms of how to stand out at work, right? Because that's what we all want. Not everybody wants to become an influencer. Jinko banna hai, bahut achhi baat hai, please bano. But in case you just want to stand out at work, that people should know who you are, this is for that context. Okay, please stop me in the middle. I'll prompt you a couple of times in the middle just to see if you have any questions. We'll take those questions in the middle, but we'll probably spend half an hour there and half an hour on everything else under the sun. Good deal? Okay, let's go. So just let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see the deck? Yes, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So this is what I feel. So I feel personal branding ke naam pe na, there's a lot of, forgive my friends, there's a lot of okay, I don't want to use words which you'll have to censor, but there's a lot of very sloppy clownish stuff which is being paraded in the market. So I'll tell you what we did, right? Just a group of us together, just researched and found that the problem is that 81% felt invisible at their jobs, right? Like all of you are going to start your careers very, very soon, if not already. And you'll understand that sometimes you are doing well, but you still feel invisible inside this huge workplace that you're a part of. I've worked for large companies like Amazon and Reliance. So at these companies, there are lakhs of people inside the same building, right? So how do you stand out? So people struggle with that a lot. 68% people had taken some kind of a personal branding course and they had burnt their money and they were like, yeah, this is shit. This is not for me. Most people, 95% people felt cringe or uncomfortable, right? I include myself in this 95%. 71% people felt that they were yeah, this is a realization. There were a lot of people who felt, yeah, I'll put my head down and I'll work, and that should be enough. But 71% people felt, okay, it's not enough. Like, clearly, I am missing something. Just doing my work is not getting me anywhere. And 64% people, now this is the penny drop, right? They had been passed over for an opportunity for someone more visible. Now, we all feel that when we start work, our work is going to be very meritocratic, or hum mehnat karenge, or like things will just happen, right? And they don't, because unlike our academic life, our professional life, there are going to be many more variables, right, which are going to be outside of our control. So hard work will probably be just 50% of the job. The other 50% is what I'm going to talk about. So the problem is that there was no shortage of gyan, but there was no curated framework of, okay, I've understood that there's a need to have a personal brand inside my organization. There's a lot of insecurity which all of these gurus gift you. Okay, do this and I'll send you my framework, and do that and I'll send you my checklist, and all of that bullshit which people nowadays do on social media, which doesn't make any sense. But nobody has concrete stuff that actually works. So there are a lot of people pushing you to create content. कि personal branding का मतलब है social media influencer बनना, which doesn't make any sense, right? We need a system to become visible at work. Not many of us want to become cringe influencers. If you want to become an influencer and develop a social media audience, that's fantastic, and you should continue to do that. I have found a lot of advantage in being vocal on social media across LinkedIn, Instagram, and now YouTube. But for 99% of us, that's not the right answer. Social media is not the right answer. The few people inside your company need to know who you are, and that's what it's all about. So we put together a framework called the minimum viable self, which I'll talk about. But more importantly, the issue is that people who feel that hard work will get were consistently facing issues at work because they were paying the professional anonymity tax. If you're waiting to get noticed just by the virtue of putting your head down and working hard, then that's not going to happen. And you will get passed over for promotions and opportunities, like I was in the beginning part of my career. And eventually, it starts accumulating in the form of a tax. It's just, you can just call it a silent tax, which you keep paying in ways of missed opportunities and promotions and many other things. So you need a framework to fight all of this. So the framework actually very neatly and conveniently comes together for a framework called CRAFT, CRAFT. I put this in my book. I'll put a link to the book in the end. So if this is interesting, you can pick it up. But otherwise, I'll be giving away a very solid trailer of what the crux of the matter is. Okay, so you don't need to read it, but if you're a curious person, then of course, please go ahead and read it. So this is what we want to understand first, right? Like the first exercise I want everybody to do at some point in their careers, and this is also inside the book, is that put all of your experiences and deep thought together and just feel. The first point is narrative identity and turning points analysis. Just mind the turning points of your life. What were the write down 5 turning points of your life. For example, in class 6, that happened. In class 9, that happened. In class 11, this happened. Then when I got into college, this happened. And then in my third year of college, this is what happened, right? Like 5 big events. Now, each of them will teach you something critical about you as a person, and also about the narrative that you tell yourself about yourself. Excuse me. This is research done by this gentleman called Dan McAdams, and he's a very gifted professional and very meticulous psychologist. So first you look at all the turning points of your life. Then you go one level deeper and you look at possible selves. So there are 3 possible selves that each of us have. You can either have a So if nothing changes in your life right now and you keep going how you're going, then in 5 years you might have what is called an expected self. Okay, theek hai? In 5 years, after I pass out of St. Xavier's, then this is what my life is going to look like if nothing else changes. That's the expected self. Now, just imagine everything going right. Like you've killed everything. You've got if you've got the right post graduation institution that you wanted, or you've got the right job that you wanted, and you've moved up a couple of rungs on the ladder. Everything has gone right, personally, professionally. So that's your the best possible self, right? Your the best case scenario self. And then the third self would be if everything goes to shit, which means that things are not working out personally, professionally. You've not kind of, you've got a good start, but then you've not been able to keep momentum. You've not been able to go ahead. So that's the third self, which is your cautionary tale, which is what should make you feel the most profound about कि यहाँ ये बंदा नहीं बनना मेरे को. This is not the person I want to become in my life. Then another exercise you can do is called the desirability impact, right? So there's stuff that I want to do, there's stuff that I can do, and there's stuff that I'll bring impact to the world, and if impact is important. And maybe, so if you've seen Ikigai, this is kind of a version of that also, like much more simplified and pragmatic. Okay, what I want to do in life, what I can get paid for, and what will bring some kind of impact to the world. At the intersection of that will be what you should do in your life, and not necessarily कि सब finance कर रहे तो मैं भी finance कर रहा हूँ, सब marketing कर रहे तो मैं भी marketing कर रहा हूँ, right? I unfortunately went into finance. I thought okay, that's the only way in which I would have a successful career. I ended up doing those CFA exams, and my God. And very deep within, I understood that I was lying to myself and I was inherently a marketer. But thankfully, very quickly that dawned upon me कि ठीक है यार, it's not only your desire, it's also your ability and the long-term impact that you can create. If your heart's not in it, then it's a sure short recipe for failure, whatever you're picking up in life. So how do I know what I'm good at? So everybody knows the concept of flow state. I think that's something which people would have heard about at some point, right? Flow state basically means that you remember the last time you were doing something and you forgot to have lunch. For example, you're reading something, you're doing something. I'm not counting reels, right? Reels करते तो सब भूल जाते हैं time, like मैं भी भूल जाता हूँ, right? But when was the last time you were doing something and you got so engrossed that you just forgot everything about it? That state is very important for us to mind, because that tells us a lot about who we are and what gives us energy in doing. If that was studying astrology, for example, like just making it up, if that was just analyzing data about sports, if that was anything, right? That's where your flow state inherently lies. And that is very important for you to mind, to understand who am I and what's the value that I can bring to the world. होता क्या है, unfortunately, what a lot of colleges do, and this is the failure of our education system, is that people are just divided into 3 or 4 buckets. Okay, this is science, commerce, humanities, and so on. And then once you kind of come into a college like this, then probably you'll be divided into these are your marketing students, these are your finance students, these are your HR students, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, much later in life, you start realizing, yeah, who am I and what I bring to the world is very different from the bucket that I was stuck in for a very long time, right? And that's very important for you to mind. So yeah, like I said, the flow state. You feel a sense of flow when the challenge and the skills have the right kind of balance. That it's neither too challenging nor is it too easy, right? That you lose interest. So it is challenging enough to keep you engaged, but you're also seeing results, right? So whenever you're sitting, so remember that accessing your flow state, and I know people don't access their flow state when they're studying accountancy. Don't lie to yourself. That's not how things work, right? Just make a list on things which made you unlock an actual flow state. Somewhere there is an answer. Okay, this is what I'm great at and what I can bring to the world. So yeah, has anybody seen this? Actually, let me just stop here for a second, right, before we go here. Do we have any questions here on what we've covered in the last 10 minutes or so? It's fine. You can raise your hand, just unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll go ahead. How many people do we have here? Some 22 odd people. Okay, let me just go ahead then. So there's Dunbar's number, right? Like if you look at Dunbar, was this British anthropologist, and he's a very smart fellow, and he said that basically the people closest to me is about 5 people. Then I have friends who are about 15 people, and then there are about 50 people that I know. He said 150 is your network limit. इससे ज्यादा लोग आप जान नहीं सकते. And the thing is, of course, you can create a Rolodex or a list of people that you know, but the people should also know you. He's like 150 is the theoretical limit of the number of viable social connections that any one person can have. And then you can have an extended network, like each one person can then potentially introduce you to 10 more and so on and so forth. So that's there. But Dunbar's number is 150, and that's very important, is because why I bring it here is at the end of the day, only 150 people need to know who you are for your professional success. Period. So if for example, if I have say, so I have probably 1.5 lakh followers on Instagram. If they know who I am, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, only 150 are the people who will open doors for me, who will create opportunities for me, and these might be people. For example, if you are in HR, okay, these might be the head HRs of other companies in your industry, right? If you're a HR in pharma, so who are the 10 competitors in your industry? Their HR head should know, there's a person called Hazel who's a fantastic HR, and she's working in Sun Pharma right now, so that the person in Dr. Reddy can poach you eventually, or the person in Abbott can poach you eventually, or so on and so forth. And people, if Saharsh is a DJ, right? I hope you're not Saharsh, but if you are, that then of course people around him should know who he is. Like these would be potentially event managers, people who run operations at F&B establishments, right? His millions of followers, जिनको वो force करके अपना SoundCloud सुना रहा है, that's fine, right? Like that will not get you anything. That's great for your ego. कि यार 30,000 people listen to my SoundCloud stream, but the net total money that I made is zero. But does, for example, if you in Calcutta, if there are 10 pubs, right? Do those 10 pubs know who Saharsh is, and is Saharsh on their speed dial? So that's why the way to flip personal branding is, do I have a strong personal brand with these 150 people? And 150 is just an arbitrary number, right? The number might be 50, 75, it might be 10, doesn't matter. The point is, there is a theoretical limit. It is the maximum number of connections can go to 150 and not more than that. And that's the crux of the matter. So never think of personal branding as, I'm going to talk about like whatever cat coaching or some bullshit like that to 20,000 people, and I'm going to get 1 lakh followers on Instagram. That is not necessarily the kind of personal branding which will get you anything in life, right? That's also great. It's a great game. Like I said, I played myself, so there's no shade on anybody who's trying to play that game. But real personal branding is identifying who are the 100 people who matter for my career, and do those 100 people know who the fuck I am? Sorry, can I say fuck? I can't say fuck, right? Should I avoid? The title of my book. Okay, I'll avoid. Okay, because she's smiling.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally, no. You should have called somebody else then. But anyway, so yeah, so that's why they should know who you are, right? And that's very, very important, right? So yeah, like I said, everybody says कि यार ये सब ठीक है, समझ आ गया, concept समझ आ गया, but अभी how do I find what I'm great at, right? Now the thing is, everybody has a set of problems that you can solve, and there's some problems that you can solve. For example, let's say Himangi is fantastic. She's a great student, right? And she does well in class, I'm assuming. And she has a great mind for numbers and everything, right? Like, let's just make all of this up. Is that accurate, Himangi?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay. ठीक है. So let's say you're great at study, but what you love to do when you're with your friends is you love to read tarot cards. Do you have any connection with tarot by any chance, Himangi?
No.
Perfect. You should. So what if you are the kind of person who feels यार कि मेरे को tarot reading में बड़ा मजा आता है, तो वो मैं करती हूँ, और उसमें I can make a lot of money, much more than what my placement of whatever 8-10 lakhs will give me, right? I can make much more money in a week than I can in a year. So fantastic. You take that route. And then you feel, yeah, there are some problems. There are already a lot of tarot card readers who are already out there. Now, what's special that I'm bringing? So this could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be tarot card reading. This could be anything. If you're somebody who's a private wealth professional, right, who is helping founders who have recently had big exits in their startups, for them to manage their wealth. If you're a wealth manager for such kind of people, then you can say, what are their hair on fire problem? एक होता है problem which are like कि ठीक है यार solve करोगे बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. एक है कि यार solve it right now, I will give you money. You need to first identify what are those problems. So for example, for a person who's suddenly made 100 crores after selling their startup, one thing is you're saying, okay, we'll do estate planning and succession planning so that even your third generation is very comfortable. That's a fantastic problem to solve. But it's not a hair on fire problem. Hair on fire problem क्या है कि उसको आज capital gains देने का है, right? So you need to first identify, like bifurcate the problems that you can solve. You like, okay, all of this, a lot of other people do. I'm going to find what is absolutely urgent, which will cost them money today, and then take out the problems which other people are already solving well. Yeah, I know there are a lot of people who are doing succession planning for these people. There are a lot of people who are doing real estate guidance for these people. There are a lot of people who are suggesting them funds and investments and everything else and family office and all that shit. So a lot of people already doing that. So like, ये सब मेरे को नहीं करने का. What I can do is I can give them a very quick fix for how to evade. Not, I think evade is a very strong word. How to avoid paying capital gains tax. Okay, then that becomes your unique problems. You are known as, so then Saharsh becomes the guy who helps founders with large exits avoid paying capital gains tax, like save that tax money. Then eventually, then suddenly you become the most valuable person, right? Everybody in Bangalore is sharing your number around with each other कि यार ये बंदा आपका टैक्स बचा देगा, आपको खाते में पैसा आया, ये बंदा आपका टैक्स बचा देगा. And that becomes an organic recommendability loop. So you don't have to run any ads on who you are and what you do. People will automatically start recommending you if you do this niching properly. Got it? So yeah, like I said, I'll just gloss over a lot of these concepts. Of course, a lot of these are in detail. I've talked about them in various different forums, but it just to give you something to think about. Okay, so I'll skip this. Yeah, so I think this is quite important, and I quite like talking about this because I'm very proud of myself. This is something that I came up with. I was very happy कि यार बहुत बढ़िया चीज बनाई है मैंने, right? I had an extra glass of beer that day. So this is basically when you're talking to many people, right? And this can be you're talking on LinkedIn, you're talking on Instagram or anything. You're talking about, for example, capital gains for founders, or you're talking about tarot card reading like Himangi would, or you're talking about setting up a fantastic culture like Hazel would. Like I'm assuming Hazel, like I'm just sorry for putting you in the HR bucket. I know everybody hates HR, but it is what it is. So what if you start talking about stuff? Okay, I found out what I'm great at. Okay, so I've done all of the things that this guy with the ponytail asked me to do. सब कुछ मैंने कर लिया. I found out कि यार ये सब ठीक है. अभी now how do I talk about it? So that's the thing. I think when you talk to people, you can talk on 4 different levels. And I'll tell you why this is a pyramid and not any other stupid shit. The first is you need to solve somebody's problem. आपको उसका टैक्स बचाना है, या आपको उसको टैरो कार्ड रीडिंग का प्रेडिक्शन देना है, or you need to actually help them define the parameters of their culture, like some hard concrete problem you need to solve. Then is validation, like you need to make them feel seen. For example, if Himangi, being a tarot card reader, says, okay, I know a lot of times people feel confused in the middle of the night. You're feeling, where is my life going? Where is my relationship going? And sometimes, even though tarot card reading may not have any empirical scientific proof, sometimes it's good to just hear somebody say things because it just uplifts your mental health, right? So somebody, maybe Samyak sitting somewhere in his house would be like, हाँ यार ये मेरे साथ हुआ है, मेरे को भी ऐसे कभी-कभी feel होता है. So you feel seen and validated, and sometimes that's what it is. That's the next level. Then Himangi starts talking about, hey, after I left St. Xavier's, I got placed at a company which was paying me 8 lakh rupees, but then I just thought, yaar, ki ye sab nahi karna life mein. Now I'm doing 10 times that money helping people with their mental health through tarot card reading. Let's just make things up, okay? So then Parth sitting in his house would feel like, hey, yaar, ye Himangi ne to bahut badhiya business bana liya yaar, ye to main bhi kar sakta hu. So then you believe कि यार, I think I can also do this. So that is the third level of the kind of content which Himangi can put out. And at the end, Himangi one day talks about, okay, see, after leaving St. Xavier's, I had a fantastic time, but then there were some people in my college that I absolutely hated seeing their face. But okay, anyways, I came out of that mess, and my mental health was at an all-time low, and this happened and that happened, and then I got into tarot card reading, and now today I'm a multi-billionaire, and I'm now coming back to St. Xavier's to get a Young Alumni Achievement Award, right? So let's assume Himangi's life ends very great, right? So then everybody feels scared. Hi, yeah, Himangi is a successful founder of a large startup. She's built AstroTalk, ka biggest competitor. But at the end of the day, when she passed out of St. Xavier's, uski mental health ki bhi lagi hui thi. So you'll be like, this person is like me, right? So these are the different pyramids, right? So at the end of the day, that's how resonance works. So whenever you're talking about yourself in public, right, and this could be on social media, this could be when you're giving out a TED talk, this could be any way or means in which you can do it. These are the four levels that you have to think about before you talk about stories of your life, right? Relief, validation, aspiration, and belonging. Make sense? Yes, no? Unmute karke yes bol do, because I'm very proud of this framework that I came up
Yes,
with.
sir.
Okay, perfect. So that's how so we talked about how to figure out what you're great at, then how to create a niche for yourself, and then how to talk about it. Like when you're talking about it, and this can be, like I said, once you figured out, this can be it can be a whatever selfie camera thing to video to Instagram, or it can be a long gyan post on LinkedIn, or it can be anything else, right? But the point is how you're sharing the story and how you're making people feel when they are consuming that content. That's the kind of resonance which people have. So yeah, how do you scale this eventually? The more people you talk about, the more distributed proof you have, which means if many people have saved capital gains tax through Saharsh, then they'll feel okay, there are many people who can recommend him. Saharsh then one day puts up a picture with, say, Nikhil Kamath. So suddenly it feels like, यार ये तो बड़ा बंदा है यार, ये तो निखिल कामत के साथ chill कर रहा है. That's a credibility transfer bridge, right? In which a bit of his credibility rubs off on you, right? So that those are also the things you can do when you're building out your personal brand. Uh, we'll skip emotional coding and creative constraints. This is not very relevant, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can read up about if you're interested in this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, all of it is very deeply psychological. None of this is just stuff which somebody just smoked some plants and had an idea in their head as an A. But there's a lot of verifiable empirical research which kind of all of this kind of comes from. So give it time when you can. I think if you do all of these things together, you can create luck in your life, which means I don't know, it sounds a lot of pseudoscience, it sounds a lot of woo-woo and bullshit, but at the end of the day, to stand out, see, if you're placed in McKinsey and there's 10 super smart kids and there's high entry barrier towards getting in, right? And everybody's competing for the same stuff. So hard work to dekho sabhi kar rahe hain, smart to sabhi hain. What gives you that edge, right? It could be being visible to the partner, to somebody else, being a little useful, being very niche down, and uh, uh, like the intent isn't to become a caricature of yourself and just to become a performative asshole who says, care, I talk about my work more than I do it. The point is not to become that. The point is just to make sure okay, this is the value that I bring, and every partner should know okay, there's this person called Hazel who's fantastic at what she does, so that when that client comes in for a consulting assignment, Hazel is the first name that comes on the partner's head. So that's how you can engineer serendipity in your life through all of these things. So yeah, like I always say, at the end of the day. So if you don't know this reference, then I'm very sorry for the sad life that you've lived up till now. But if you have, if you if you have, then you have good choice in movies. So yeah, so we'll pause here. I think I've taken about 32 odd minutes. We'll take some questions here. Go for it. We can take. You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can just type down the chat. So, Samyak, we'll start with you, man.
Sir, I just had a question regarding 10x, sir. Sir, how do you exactly go about to like the entire screening process of who to invite and who not to invite for 10x, sir? And how exactly do you mentor people over there?
Oh, okay. So I usually don't plug what I do as a day job, but thanks for that. So yeah, we have an application procedure that you send in your resume, you send in your LinkedIn or whatever, right? And then we have a panel of two CMOs now. Earlier we had three, uh, and these people would normally get in, right? So it's very qualitative in terms of how it's done. We have a certain makeup of people that we want inside the community. We are fairly selective about how that happens, and once you're in, then you're in, and everything else. But yeah, of late we've started taking a lot fewer people. We've paused newer people coming in for a while now, and that's by design, because we want to get more hiring outcomes for people before we can take more people in and scale this slightly further. But yeah, that's that.
Thank you.
Naman, thanks, man. Naman or Himangi, either of you can unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So from what I can understand, you've obviously been in the industry for quite some time. So,
Yeah.
is there one thing that you wish you had learned earlier and you wish all of us would do as well?
Exactly this, like what I talked about in the deck, right? Okay, let me just plug this, right? Like this is also, I don't know if the QR code works or not. You can just see. So exactly this. I initial parts of my career, I thought, yeah, I am good, I am capable. If I work hard, I'll get through. Eventually, I'll get where I need to be. I did not anticipate how big, how political workplaces are. राइट यू फील के यार जैसे एकेडमिक्स में मेरिटोक्रेसी होती है कि यू वर्क हार्ड देन यू गेट अ ग्रेट रैंक यू गेट अ ग्रेट जीपीए यू गेट अ ग्रेट प्लेसमेंट इट्स एग्जैक्टली द इनवर्स राइट प्रोफेशनली बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे wherever you will have too many humans there will be a sense of politics and you need ways to stand out. So I felt if I knew about putting myself out there more much earlier in my career I would have been twice further along than what I am right now. So for anybody starting their career, a lot of people feel here कि नहीं initially तो I need to put my head down. Once I'll get to mid senior levels, then I'll start working about my personal brand. Uh, that is the mistake which I did, which you shouldn't. And personal brand doesn't mean कि यार कल LinkedIn पे जाके उल्टी करने लग जाओ. It's not what it means, right? Personal brand necessarily means that your partner, people other than the 10 people that you work with, they should know who you are and what you bring to the table. Period. That's a micro view of personal branding. That should start the day you start work. It should also start in college, actually, in a way that, like the principal, all decision makers, people in place comp, everybody who has any kind of impact on your life should know who you are and what you bring to the table, right? So that it can create that slight edge. But once you start working, which is hopefully soon for a lot of you, then it needs to start now. It can't work, right? You need to be very clinical about uh, take a piece of paper and say कि यार ये लोग मेरे career में कुछ फर्क कर सकते हैं. They can bring something good or bad to my career, and this is how I'm going to ensure that all of them know कि Naman is this person and this is what Naman is great at, and whenever we have a problem with X, then Naman is the first person that we should call. So if this is something I would have done 5 years, 10 years earlier in my career, it would have been phenomenal. So that's what I advise all of you to do. So yeah, Himangi, go ahead.
Hi. So you've seen inside of top brands. So what do they do differently that smaller brands don't understand?
Money, man. At the end of the day, I know it's a very unfortunate reality is that how things are like today, you can buy attention for money, right? That's something which smaller brands do much better than that's something which larger brands do much better. And sometimes at the end of the day, you can just steamroll yourself through buying more attention, right? Online, right? And a lot of brands are able to do that. A lot of FMCG brands are able to do that, and that's why a lot of smaller startups in, say, personal care, beauty, food, they struggle, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody is vying for your attention, you're the same eyeballs. So sometimes bigger brands are able to take bigger bets financially. ऐसे नहीं है कि bigger brands में they are smarter people. I have worked for small brands as well as big brands. So I can tell you for a fact कि ऐसा कुछ ऐसे नहीं है कि Amazon has much better systems, processes, and everything else than say a small company, right? I don't think so. I think so in terms of intent or skill or anything, there is no difference. Sometimes things are as simple as somebody just bringing more capital to the game. And if somebody brings more capital, they're able to buy more eyeballs. They buy more eyeballs, they get more conversions. They get more conversions, they get more money. Yeah, that's an oversimplified answer, but that's, I think, one of the biggest factors. All right, Shaurya, let's go with you, man.
Hello, sir. What was your thought process behind starting 10XO Club, and how did you convince yourself to take up a leave and leave a stable job and do a startup?
You see, the thing is, at the end of the day, at some point in your life, you have to bet on yourself, right, to do something. And uh, I know that for a lot of people, especially once they come out of academic institutions, it's very important to get the right job and get the right experience and so on and so forth. But sometimes it's just about thinking here, here I have one life, right? And how many, and I want to do a great volume of experiments on very, very different things, right? Maybe every 2 years, I'm going to do a different experiment with my life. The sooner you start that, the better it is, right? Unfortunately for me, I had white hair in my beard when I realized that, right? I hope many of you realize that much, much quicker. And I'm sure your counterparts at people your age at IIT, and I had this thing at Triple IT Hyderabad, right? Phenomenally smart kids, right? I can't tell you how smart, right? I'm sure a lot of you are as smart, if not more. But the difference is कि वो placement के लिए नहीं मर रहे. That's the difference, right? Which I see between a lot of people in the absolute elite institutions and the others, is that they feel this is the time where we have the lowest lifestyle cost, which means we are single, we don't have to support our parents, we don't have kids of our own, and so on and so forth. So you have the lowest lifestyle cost. Hence, you have the highest risk-taking ability at this point in your life when you're 21, right? I realized that when I was in my mid-30s, which is a mistake, right? Which means, but at some point in time, everybody realizes it. So it's not the point of care you left a stable job and you did something else. It was, I feel I should have left that stable job many, many years earlier and kind of done different experiment. Because only if you do a high volume of experiments, do you come to a place where you feel, okay, finally I'm doing something which I really like, which I'm getting a lot of money for. And I also have the ability to do something to stand out from the crowd, to do something which creates some kind of legacy. तो वो आने में time लगता है, but then but I feel very encouraged whenever I go to a lot of, especially these elite engineering colleges, and see these people, because 80% of the batch is thinking about starting out immediately after college, right? And in a lot of other institutions, which are the non-technical institutions, it's actually the inverse, where 20% of the batch is thinking of starting up, right? And maybe that needs to change. Because you need to feel clear. Abhi, I have the like, for example, I have it's plural, right? So my risk-taking ability will keep decreasing every year henceforth, right? But your risk-taking ability is at the best place that it can ever be in your life. But for most people, they realize that in their mid-30s and mid-40s and so on and so forth. So yeah, so I just said it's not as simple as the question of leaving something stable for something risky. Everybody has to do that at some point in time. It's just a matter of when you want to do it. If is not the question, it's the when is the question. I hope that answers, man. Okay, Gia, over to you.
Hi, yes. So, for a fresher, like if you were starting from scratch today, like without an expensive, fancy degree,
Yeah.
what do you think your first step would be to break into the world of marketing? And more importantly, what do you think you would do to prove your value in the field?
Perfect. Good question. I like to talk about this a lot, especially to people who are, say, MBA pass outs. A lot of people say this because what happens is after MBA, pretty much 9 on 10 people in marketing go into sales jobs. I was very clear in my head, मेरे को भाई एक दिन sales नहीं करना, right? I was like, and now I can tell you, after having done a decade and a half of this, is sales and marketing are two different animals. People say initially you have to do 3 to 5 years of sales and then you get into marketing because you understand the consumer. Absolute and utter shit. I don't subscribe to that fact at all. I was very clear after my MBA that I didn't want to do even a day of sales. I wanted to do marketing from day one. And so I picked up an off-campus placement. And I'll tell you why I did that, because I was like, yeah, I got placed with one of these bigger firms. I took a huge pay cut, which means I took a much lower CTC job than my campus placement, just because I was very clear कि यार पैसा वैसा तो correct करके कमा लेंगे, but I want to get into marketing today, and I want to start with. So the good thing that I did, which now in retrospect I can say was a great thing. Uh, Go for the smallest possible marketing team that you can find. When we want to get into marketing careers, we feel कि नहीं यार Unilever जाना है, PNG जाना है, Amazon जाना है, whatever else, right? I would say no at the beginning of your career. Start with a 5 people marketing team, 10 people marketing team. Why? Because you'll get a taste of everything. Because यही 5 लोग सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. They are creating briefs, they are doing media buying, they are doing performance, they're doing brand and everything else. If you happen to unfortunately get placed in a Unilever or an Amazon after B school, and the point is you will be in one corner of something doing a very small specific part, and you'll be very happy with yourself कि ठीक है यार, I'm in Amazon and I'm doing great stuff, but it will not solve for your career. When I started with Carrier, it was an air conditioning company. There were 9 people in the marketing team, including me and the CMO, which means everything, whether it is uh, writing the brief, getting research done through IMRB or Nielsen or whoever, or doing large scale campaigns, TV shoots pe bhi main jata tha, and everything. So I got a taste of everything in the first year of my marketing career, which then through the process of elimination, I thought, okay, out of the 20 things which a marketer does, these are 10 things that I like, 10 things that I don't like. That is very important. If you get placed in a big company, वो आप कभी नहीं कर पाओगे, क्योंकि आपको पता ही नहीं होगा. You'll be like, यार, I am a media manager, I am a brand manager. आपको ये पता नहीं influencer से कैसे बात करनी है और influencer marketing plan कैसे बनाना है, because some other team is doing it. You don't know how performance is working because some other team is doing performance. Then you come out as a very half-baked marketer. So the immediate thing when you want to start off your career, 2 things, just to summarize: don't fall into the trap that people say that initially you need to do sales to understand the consumer. Absolute and utter bullshit. The second thing is start in a very small team, and if that means going for a very small company, go for it. When people say na brand on your CV, brand, kuch nahi, yeah, I also run a hiring business, right? I'll tell you, we also hire for a lot of marketing talent, right? And now I think in the marketing niche specifically, we are doing more volume of marketing positions than many other big established players, right? So I can tell you this for a fact also, कि brand on the CV counts for jack shit, right? I have non-brand companies and brand companies on my CV both. So I'm telling you, after having seen both, what matters is what you can do, period. What matters is if you've worked so I know people who worked 15 years for Unilever, and because they were working in a soap brand, performance marketing was never relevant for them, because soap ka ad kaun chalata hai Instagram pe, right? Soap is something you could, so they are very strong at, say, BTL branding, and they are very strong at brand research and everything else. But in terms of performance, probably many of you would know better performance marketing than them, and they have 15 years of experience. So they turn out as half-baked marketers, and that's why when we are working with a lot of these kind of professionals in helping them get placed at companies, कभी-कभी हम भी नहीं कर पाते. Because the thing is, if you worked in a small setup, then you've had a taste of everything. Then you can choose where you want to grow and vertically. If you want to then take a vertical sprint, then you know, okay, these are a few things that I need to do to make sure that I am specialized in something. But before you choose what you want to specialize in, you need to have a taste of everything, right? अभी how will you know you like Chinese till you've tasted everything in the buffet? अभी क्या, अगर आप 10 साल सिर्फ चाइनीज खा रहे हो तो आपको पता ही नहीं है यार, लोग मार्केट में बिरयानी चल रहा है. So that's the unfortunate reality with a lot of marketing careers. Do we have more questions, Saharsh?
Yes, I had one question. So you mentioned in your speech that you had given the CFA exams as well.
Yeah.
And in our college at St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, so 90% students are pursuing professional courses which are oriented towards finance. Almost
Yeah.
every student is aspiring to get into the finance sector. So
Yeah.
my Is it advisable or viable for finance for people like us?
No, 500%, man. Matlab, because I have done it myself. I passed my L2 exams, and somewhere after my L2 exams, and I did a BBA for graduation, and so I did a lot of finance in my college, but I also did level two, right? Or and this was quite a while back. So तब मेरे को realize हो गया. So there was two things in my head. I was like, now I've done so much. I've spent like the last couple of years studying finance and being obsessed with everything finance. But yeah, if your heart's not in it, then you're screwed. Then I am guaranteeing you will be mediocre in your job. But यही होता है ना यार, अगर आपको किसी चीज का if you have a genuine curiosity on something, if you have a kida for something, then a curious person can't be beaten by anybody, right? So I know people who will be so curious about something कि वो रात को 4 घंटे Mayan civilization पे expert बन रहे हैं, right? For no reason, right? And there are many of us like that. So you can't compete with somebody who's genuinely curious and who has found that, hey, this is something that I'm great at. So I was very clear in the beginning, clear marketing is something that I want to do and it's something that I can do. And doesn't matter how many years I wasted in finance, it's fine. Your career is a 40-year journey here. In your 40-year journey, you are just think of every 10-year block as different. You're going to do 4 big pivots in your career, maybe more. If you're lucky, maybe 8. But 4-5 pivot तो सबके होते हैं. Where you start thinking कि यार I'm going to be a whatever HR professional, and then you start becoming a beauty founder, and then you start becoming a yoga practitioner or something else, right? वो तो life में चलता रहता है. It happens to 100% of people. So right now just think कि अभी तो मैंने सिर्फ 2-3 साल इन्वेस्ट किए हैं, which is what I thought, right? I was like, यार क्या फर्क पड़ा, L2 पास हो गया, great. Now the thing is, the advantage that I have is that it's slightly more difficult to fool me on finance. It's because I have a little bit of a finance background and I understand finance a little bit, and that helps me personally, right? But I was very clear that my energy will be best utilized only in marketing, and I thank God that I was able to identify that early enough. So I was able to throw every effort that I had done in the 3 years of my graduation into the bin, and then feel कि यार नहीं अब कर लिया तो अब यही करेंगे. That's what we will continue to do in marketing, and I think it's been a decent enough decision, at least for me. So don't think about switching from finance to marketing, because in terms of your 40-year-old career, you've not even taken the first step. So you can take any step in any direction.
Thank you, sir.
If you're a person who doesn't like finance and you're stuck in finance as a career, then I'll say कि you're in for a few years of alcoholism. But yeah, Samyak.
Right. So at 10x, so you must be having days when you're like, why should I even continue this? I should shut everything down and just go back to my regular 9 to 5, quote unquote 9 to 5 job, and not continue the startup at all. How do you deal with those days? And like, do you even have such days when you feel like nothing's working out and nahi karna ye sab?
नहीं यार, टचवुड अभी तक तो नहीं, पैसा अच्छा बन रहा है. So it's fine. So yeah, I think when you stop making money, I think that's when these days come. But thankfully, no. But yeah, I know that's not the answer that you want. But I'm sure people have this, right? Like I had a friend of mine who came. He's been consulting for companies for about 5 years now. He was a very senior person in Swiggy, heading a large part of their marketing and their private label business. And we were drinking, and he was like, "यार कि अभी मेरे को लग रहा है कि just going out and getting new clients is becoming difficult. So I might want to consider getting back to 9 to 5 again." It's fantastic for people who want to do that. Like I said, in today's terms, you can't look at your careers how in the old economy careers were seen as, okay, yaar, my career is going to be 20 years here and 20 years there and everything. All of us are guns for hire, period. Right? We are missionaries. No, we are mercenaries. That's the difference, right? We are guns for hire. We are just renting out our time. So just think of the next 24 months. That's what I told him. I was like, look at the next 24 months. if you can get back to a 9 to 5 for the next 18 to 24 months, and then when you feel you've got another idea, you want to do another experiment, you can just get back and do something else. And that switch back and forth is now a part of the new economy. Earlier क्या होता था कि people would start working for Tata Power, and that Tata Power would finally give them a watch when they were 62 years old. That is not the economy we live in today, right? So we live in very different times. So that's what you feel. So while I haven't, it hasn't happened with me, thankfully. But even if you are, and you've done 2 years of experimentation in trying to run a startup, now think of this. Samyak said, "Ki yaar, now screw campus placement. I am going to take the next 1 year and experiment when doing something of my own, right?" And you do 2-3 different kinds of startup, and you feel ये भी try करूंगा, ये भी try करूंगा, ये भी try करूंगा, सब try करते हैं. And then after 1 year, 13th month, you feel कि यार okay चल नहीं रहा, let me just start looking for jobs. Now Saharsh and you had the same placement. Saharsh did 12 months of his job. You did 12 months of experimentation on 4 different things. In the 13th month, when both of you come to me for a job, there is no chance in hell I'm going to hire Saharsh. It is going to be you. Because the person you had to become to do 12 months of experimentation has put you many leagues ahead of somebody who was doing a regular job. Right? जिन लोगों को, so I know, so I've used this in a interview as well. There are a lot of people who run ads. But startup founders, when they're starting from day one, they have to break their fixed deposits and run ads through that money. जिसने अपना FD तोड़ के ad चलाया ना, उससे आप compete ही नहीं कर सकते. There's no chance. So if both of you, ceteris paribus, everything else being the same, both of you come to me and you say, "Yaar, I have done 12 months of experimentation, अब मेरे को 9 to 5 वापस करने का है." You will be hired over every other candidate, and that is something I'm assuring you. Ex-founders are the hottest commodity in Bangalore, and I'm sure also in rest of the world as well. But they are positions that come in where people specifically ask, "I want a person who has done a corporate career but is also an ex-founder." So it just adds to your resume. It adds to, and forget the resume here. What is a resume? Screw a resume. At the end of the day, it is the person you become while you're doing all of those things. That is the reality. That's something which nobody can take away from you. वो तो आप बन गए ना. What is a resume? It's just something you throw up a few prompts to an LLM and it spits out some bullshit. That doesn't make any sense, right? What makes sense is the person Samyak became after 12 months of struggling and meeting people and trying to build something. That is worth its weight in gold. And when you go back to a 9 to 5, that's the person they will evaluate. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you. Do we have more questions?
Would we have any other questions?
Okay, then we can close it out. I think I've spoken for long enough.
Yes.
Anyways, I just want to stop with this closing note for anybody who either agreed, disagreed to whatever I said. I think I have a way of looking at the world as everybody does. If there's anything that I can do to ever support you, please connect with me on all channels. I'm available on all possible channels. You can look me up on whichever channel you like, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Yeah, if you happen to read the book that I've written, I'd love to hear what you think about it. But regardless, if I can be of any value to your career, I'd be more than happy to help you out in whichever way I can. Cheers.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful session. Your words were incredibly relatable for a lot of us, and not just as students of marketing, but as individuals building our own journeys as well. So, to every participant of Momentum 2026, regardless of the results, what you've gained here goes far beyond any other trophy. The experience, the learning, the network, and the confidence you walk away with, that is the real victory. So, as we announce the winners of Momentum 2026, let's celebrate not just their achievement, but their spirit of competition that brought us all together. So, the second runners up of Momentum 2026 are Sneha Budhia and Sankalp Aroda from the JD Birla Institute. The first runners up are Sahil Shaw and Tanish Jain from the Bhavanipur Education Society College. And the winners of Momentum 2026 are Saksham Banthia and Arnav Mehrotra from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. On that note, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker and to every single person who contributed to Momentum 2026, a grand success. With that, we officially conclude this event. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Thank you so much, first years, for joining us today. Keep learning, keep building, and most importantly, keep transforming perspectives. Thank you, everyone. Aryan, you can end this.